Hi there guys and welcome to Gem VFX. My name's Gary and I've got a special little thing today, a little tutorial that until 9 hours ago I didn't really appreciate that I was going to be doing it. And it is the fact that 9 hours prior to recording this particular tutorial, I got a message in relation to one of my previous tutorials, and this is one of the very early ones where my main endeavor was to make sure that there was a single tutorial about each modifier altogether, so that you can go through them and say, how does this one work, how does that one work, how does this relate to that, how does that relate to that, and they've worked out pretty well. And even while I thought I knew some of them, just during the course of doing them, I actually learned some stuff myself, which is always good. But 9 hours ago, as I said, I got a comment on my particular Screw Modifier tutorial that says, hello, could you tell me how to change the screw orientation? Let's say I'm trying to create a weapon sword handle and I want the strings crossed. I've been trying with rotation, but so far it is not working. How can you do that? But I just thought, well, I'm sure that's, hang on, can you do that? And I checked, yes you can, but it kind of brought the whole thing about, for me as well, about how to do the crossing of the strings and making it look correct. So I had a little look online and I had a look at sword handles. And this is the reference that I sort of like found relatively quickly, which is this kind of like, when you are doing things that cross, you've either got this one here, which is kind of like the leather is crossing itself. So it's just one twist, but you get a build up where it's going like in twos and sometimes threes of the layer on top of itself. So you get that sort of binding kind of effect. But I think that Luna Azul is referring to this sort of thing, where you have it crossing over. So one set of fabric is going one way and one set of fabric is going the other way, and therefore you get that sort of like over and under kind of binding. So I started off by thinking, yes, I can answer this really quickly, but now I want to do this. So what I've done is I've very, very quickly created it's not very good. When you rush with sculpting, you have no idea what you're doing. This is what you end up with. So I've created basically a base sword. Now the blade stuff's relatively simple. That's a really, really basic polygon that I've pulled around a bit and added some bits to it, and then it's got a bevel over the top, and it's actually got a slight issue that I've just realized with my points at the top. I'm going to fix that quickly because why not? I've realized that with my mirror modifier I've actually got some vertices here which should be connecting, and it's when I'm clipping them. There you go. So I've got this like very simple sword with a mirror modifier, so I just got it right on one side and then just mirrored it across, and then a bevel modifier which just gives a really, really tight sort of like tight edge, but it's slightly smooth to all of the bits and bobs, and then a really ugly sculpt, as you can see, and baked out some quick texturing on that, just so we got a little bit of ambient occlusion and some darker areas. As I say, not pretty, but the point is it's kind of a sword-esque kind of thing, and I thought, well, how would I go about doing the screw thing, because I wanted to be sure, because the basic gist of a screw modifier, if I just change this to object mode and if I just press Control Alt and Q, we'll get our lovely 4 views up here. The point of a screw modifier is that it goes around, I'm going to put this to this, there we go, that it goes around the pommel, sorry, around the handle, not the pommel is this bit on the end, and then wraps over. So the screw modifier, what that allows us to do is to take an object and rotate it around, as I said. So if you don't know how to use this, you can easily go back and have a look at my previous modifier tutorial for the screw modifier, but I'm just going to do it here anyway. So the screw modifier essentially will take a shape and it will sort of like rotate it around the origin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go into edit mode. No, I'm not, sorry, object mode, and I'm going to add I'm just going to add a little shape, say here, that's not near the origin. The origin though is still 0, 0, 0. I'm going to create it just down here, somewhere like here will be fine. And I'm going to add, let's go into object, note to add, mesh. I'm going to add a single vertex. There we go. Now I can see my single vertex, it's just over there, because I just realized that I'm in object mode. My cursor was not at the origin. So let's put that there so I can now see my single vertex. And if I just, let's go to wireframe so we can see it here. I don't want to particularly move this away from the origin, so I'm going to bring this down so it's staying on the axis. And I'm going to go into edit mode like this, and I'm going to take this little vertex, I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to bring it down to about here, and I'm going to extrude it in the Z, and I'm going to put, and let's just zoom this in here. I'm now going to go E to extrude to there, and a little bit to there, a little bit to there, a little bit down here. Let's just move this down. Let's move this up so you can see it better. E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude. Now I'm going to select these two, and I'm just going to go M, which is merge at center. So now I've got basically a closed polygon. Now I want to make this so it goes around this pommel here, and this is where it now, as an object, we can now do. So as you can see, the origin is still pretty much over here, all the way at the 0 on the X. Even though I've moved it down in the Z, and I haven't moved it in the Y either, it's just the Z position. I've pulled it down so I can do this tool. So we go modifier, and we go screw, and you see it makes a nice ring. However, if I just do this, if you were to, let's just pop on the wireframe as well, because it does make a difference. You can see now that we've got an angle of 360. I reduce it, it doesn't go all the way around, it just goes up to it. 360, you can go over 360 as well, of course, but that brings it to there, and then the screw basically allows you to create this kind of like impression of a screw shape. So I can move it up like this, and then I can say, right, let's move it so it's about here, and then I can increase the iteration. So basically that is like a repeat. Okay, so I can take this up to say there, and I can move the object down a tiny bit, so I've got that there. So that is now essentially, that is now all the way around that pommel head. But I can look at that now and think, well, if it's a strap, if it is a strap, you know, it's I wouldn't say it's the most accurate one in the world, but, and also it's not actually into the edge of our surface. Now I've intentionally given myself a handle which goes in the middle because it's a difficult shape, or it's a more difficult shape, but I want to explain to you how I would go about doing this. And I'm going to increase the screw there to 1 meter, so it's more like a strippy strap. Okay, and is that okay enough? I think that's going to be okay. I'm going to say yes, that's okay for what the purposes of this are going to be, because it is like some sort of wrapped string. If I wanted to, and if I just go back to the quad view, if I wanted to, and I go back to edit mode, I could take these 4 points here, sorry, and I could bring these up so I have a thicker strap, or I could take these down so I have a thinner strap. And I'm guessing this is where Luna Azul is at the minute. And now they're thinking, right, well, I'll just change this now also to call it strap 1. This is the thing I think they've got a problem is because they're then going strap 1, and I'm going to go Shift D for duplicate. I always get that wrong, for duplicate. And then they're thinking, well, I'll just rotate this around and then it'll pass in the right direction around it. But the thing is that actually isn't, because if we just come back to out of the quad view and do this and deselect, you can see it's kind of like going in the same direction. So it's not working, rotating it won't work. So what you need to do is destroy the rotation now. Reduce the rotation back to 0 where it was originally, and in your angle here where it's currently at 360 degrees, put in minus 360. So the simple answer is that you change the angle of the screw to be minus 360. But it's not the complete story. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not the complete story. So you've got this, and you go, okay, that's good. But I don't like that. I don't think that's quite what I want for my string. I would like it to be a little bit strappier. I'd like it to be a little bit higher. So let's just go back till I've only got one of these. There's strap 1. And let's go back again to our quad view. And so I can get here, back into edit mode, and then I can bring this up. So it does feel a bit more like a strap, but it's still like a piece of leather. That kind of like thing that we can wrap around. And I'm also going to bring it in a bit so it's a little bit closer to the surface, so it's a little bit more accurate. What do I also, no, I'll leave it. No, I was about to make a mess. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to back to edit mode, and I'm going to now duplicate that again. Shift D. There we go. Let go. And then I'm going to rename this one to strap 2. I'm going to change the angle on that to -360, so it's going around in the opposite direction. And then let's go back out of quad view, which is Alt Control Q, if you didn't know. And let's turn off the wireframe. And I want this to feel like it's sitting over the top or underneath. Now, fundamentally, I also want this to basically sit on the surface where it's not going under and over. So I have now got 2 straps which are kind of on top of each other. Now, this is where you require to move beyond the modifier. Because having the modifier there is great. It gives you the screw. It's exactly what you want. However, it's probably not how you're going to make this work properly. You can't do it with just the screw. So what you've got to do now is you've got to bake out that screw. Now there's 2 ways. You can apply it by pressing apply, or if you've got a load of stuff in a queue, it's probably easier just to go down to object and go convert and go mesh. So I'm going to pick this one here, and that has got far too many iterations. Let's set that to 5. Yep. Has the other one got far too many? It has. 5. Okay. So I've got this one, strap 1 and strap 2. Select them both. Go object, convert to mesh. And now those have lost all of their modifier. They're now a baked object, which is actually, you know, pretty good. But we have an issue here is that some of this is now sticking out in the wrong places because it's passing, as I say, through the other straps. We want it to look like it's going under and over. So I'm going to make my life a little bit easier. Just going to turn off the sword blade and the handguard so I can see this. I'm going to go back to the quad view. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to zoom in here and here and here. By the way, if you didn't know, in quad view, and you can go sync zoom pan. And what that means is the orthographic views work together. So if you zoom on one or you zoom back on one, they all move in a similar fashion together with each other. So what we're going to do is I want to take every one of this slight purpley strap here of strap 1, and where it crosses over this one here, I want to pull that out. Now these are all currently in the same position over the top. There's a reason why I'm doing it this way. I'm going to then slender and squeeze all of these in a little bit closer to the actual handle itself. But if I do that first and then try and do all this strappy kind of stuff, it makes it much more difficult. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to have a look here. I think it's probably, where is it? Is it that one? Let's have a look there. Is it that one? Right, okay. So it's here. So if I go Alt Z and select those, I've now selected all of the ones that are over that strap just there. There we go. So I'm going to pick all of these, but I can't because I'm not in wireframe or I'm in semi-transparent mode. So let's go to semi-transparent mode by pressing just Alt Z. There you go, like that. And I'm going to press it again to make it solid, and I'm going to pull these out just like that. So if we have a little look, they're sitting just over the top of that bit. So then I can say, right, in that case, what I need now is to get to this one here, because I can see those are the next ones along. And let's pull those out a little bit as well. So they're just kind of over the top. Alt Z, select all of those ones, Alt Z back out. There. And then let's look at that. Is that looking, I need to bring these ones out here. So those ones are there. Yep. Alt Z so I can see. Push that out there. Alt Z again, select all of those. And then move that and push that out to there. So now on this, I've got that strap going over the top there. But what I want now is the other one, strap 2 going over the top of it on this side. So let's pick strap 2. Let's pick Alt Z. And I haven't picked, there you go. I've got to pick the little box at the side to make sure we're in the right area. So that I think is on the other side, directly opposite to that one. So that it is, so that's good. So now we can look at this one, and I can lift this out away from the surface of that one. And it looks like I'm not pulling that correct. Oh, I'm going the wrong axis. There we go. Sorry. So push that out to there. Alt Z, pick those. Bring these ones out to here. Alt Z to go into semi-wire. That lovely shady half and half wireframe solid view. Press Alt Z again. We'll bring these out just this way a little bit. So they're just shy. There we go. And then we'll go onto the other side. So Alt Z or Alt Z. Bring those out a little bit there. And then we go back here. Pick those ones. Alt Z again. And I think that's pretty close. Right, okay, so that is good. That is good. Yes. So what I'm going to do now is I want these now to go, both of these, by the way. I want both of these objects. Let's pick them both. Go into edit mode, and we have them both there. I need to pull this all in here. All in the middle. So let's go Alt Z, and then grab all of these middle ones. Is that the one? Yep. Okay, so let's go and select all of these. And I'm going to go up here. There's a little circle here. Or I'm going to press O on the keyboard. One of the two. Let's press O. So go O. Turns on proportional editing. So if I press S on this and I want to bring it in, you can see, because I've got a very wide, if I just bring this page down here, you can see it's working along the shapes and it's bringing them in and making them, hopefully, match relatively closely to the object itself. So how are we doing? Let's have a look. It's gone maybe a little bit too far, so let's go Alt Z and let's go back, and then let's do this again. So if we go S, scale this in, but now we bring this down, so we're not putting them in at the top. They're going in about there. It's a bit too much. There we go. So we're doing it globally with proportion. It sort of like nicely puts the straps over the top there. But we can still see there's a few places where it's just not worked quite as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that and scale that the other way. And make the shape smaller so it's less effective on the other ones. And do the same down here. Do you do the same down here? No, probably don't. Probably don't. Could be okay. So, oh, there we are. See, joined together. Joined at the hip. I'm going to take these ones, I'm going to move these ones up. Oh, no, I am, but I want to make my shape smaller. Keep going, there we go. So that kind of like circles that bit off. And then let's go up here. And I think we'll be okay leaving that one up there like that. Let's go back to object mode. And let's go Control Alt Q. And we can see a few little places where it's still inside the shape. So what we can do now is the last little bit, this is a bit that I also really like, which is where we go into sculpt mode. So let's go into sculpt mode. Let's pick on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick on, press G, and that allows, that's basically grabbing mode. I'm going to press F to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to pull it out. I should be able to do this. There we go. On strap 2. Just pull this out a little bit. Wherever we think it's going inside. As we go inside. No, it seems to be okay up to the way, right the way to the top. Ah, let's go down a bit. So let's bring it out there. Let's pick strap 1, bring that out a bit. Bring that one out a little bit there. Any I've missed, let's have a look. So I'm going round a little bit there. And then we can say, well, maybe I could move this in here. You can't actually select two of them at the same time. Excuse me, which is a bit of a pestival, but that's okay. And so there's two separate straps around our sword handle done. Not too shabbily, but again, this is again where it's nice to have a little bit of sculpting. We can say, right, okay, let's just let's pick strap 2, so it's this one here, and just pull that one down a bit, and maybe just make it give it a little bit of variety. Push that one up a bit there. Just make it so it's a little bit more, just a little bit different, so it's not exactly the same, and it just feels a little bit more. That's better if we do it this way. Yeah. Just feels a little bit more like it's got a little level of variety over the fact that it's not always the same all the way up. So it just gives it that simple sort of like feel of that it's all not been created on a computer, and that's a very handy thing. So let me just bring down this one here a bit. But you know, you've got, there you go. And so we've got some nice straps that just go around the handle of our sword, which we can then display in all its odd glory. I've got a funny feeling I've got some faces the wrong way around. Yes, there you go. Face orientation, very useful. So I'm just going to go into edit mode. Let's press the pi, go into edit mode. Let's press 3 and press all, and let's go mesh, normals, flip, and then they're the right way around now. And there you go. So we've got, let's just turn off face orientation, and let's pop it into textured mode. There we go. And we've got a sword and some straps, which equally could be strings if you want to make them thinner, like Luna Azul does. And then we can start, you know, just very quickly. Let's give them a very quick shader just to make them like a darkish brown. Can't quite see. There we go. Make it a darker brown, something like this. A little bit more like leather. Give it a bit, reduce the roughness a little bit, make it a bit more specular. Give it a hint of metallic because that makes it feel like it's polished. And yeah, let's put it on this one as well. So let's just go material 2, sorry, and set that also to material 2. Let's make that material 1, and let's make that material 1 as well, which is kind of a, let's say, call it steel for the sake of argument. So yeah, then you've got your straps around your handle of your sword. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of it really. I mean, I'd say it was not a massive one, but it kind of does the job, and it teaches you a little bit about how to use the bevel modifier, which, as I said, is in one of my much earlier ones, along with all swords. In fact, along with pretty much all of them. I think I've only missed a couple. Actually, thinking about it, well, that's a bit of a worry. So I've done the array, bevel, boolean, build, decimate, edge, split. The geometry nodes, of course, I've done some stuff with. Masking tool I've done, the mirror tool, obviously, the multi-resolution, definitely, that's quite popular. But there's a load in there that I've actually done pretty much all of the deforms apart from the smooth correctors, ablation, and deform. And then a bunch, in fact, all of the physics stuff, and over half of the modifiers. Should go back and do those. So yeah, just if you were interested, take a look. Otherwise, I hope this has been of some help to you. Luna, if you're out there, I hope this has helped you. And I shall speak to you in the next one. It really is quite ugly, that, isn't it? I mean, wait, you want to see the back? Oh, it's almost like a joker, like a jester, a nasty jester, a jasty nester. So yeah, carry on. Keep modeling, keep building, keep doing all the things you can do in Blender, and I will speak to you guys in the next one. Take real good care of yourselves now. Bye.